All right. So thank you guys for hopping on. I am super duper duper excited for this call. So I think most of you know, I went to, well, if you saw my posts, I guess, I went to a conference this past weekend with Tiffany Peterson. It was called Elevation. I actually met Tiffany at a retreat I went to this past March. She came to the retreat and spoke for a couple of hours, and she was amazing then. And I signed up for this conference while I was there, because she just made me feel so great and made me believe in myself and overcome some doubts, even though I still have some. It's always a process for sure. But so Catherine and I went, so I met Catherine. I was a coach for about 6 months. And I went to a retreat in Park City. There were, I think, 4 or 5 couples that went. We were able to take our husbands, which was huge because it really helped my husband kind of see that this was real. And even though he supported me, I'm going to mute everybody. I'm getting a little feedback. Real quick, mute all. If you want to talk, make sure you unmute yourself, okay? So my husband supported me from the very beginning, but this retreat just really helped him see the upline coach, Mindy Rose, her success. And at that time, their goal was to bring Chris home, her husband, from his job. And it was like 4 or 5 months later, and they did. It was fairly fast after that retreat. So that was just a reinforcer for my husband to see that. So that was really cool. Anyway, so that's where I met Catherine and her husband. And then saw her at Summit last year, and we just kind of keep in touch here and there, not a ton, but just if there's random questions or whatever. So it was really cool to we got to sleep over in the hotel together and jump on the beds and have pillow fights and stuff. Just kidding, we didn't do that. We did work out together though, and that's just as good, right? So anyway, we had a good time, and so I am going to let Catherine go first and let her introduce herself, because her coaching story and her background is definitely different than mine. And so if you don't relate with me very well, I'm thinking you would probably relate with her and her stories. So anyway, Catherine, take it away.
Hey, thanks, Erin. I almost called you Megan. I was looking at your name. Anyways, I'm excited to be with you guys tonight. This is definitely out of my comfort zone, but part of Elevation was getting out of your comfort zone. So when Erin asked, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I've got lots that I learned, and why not share it? So a little bit about me. I am 36. I've been married for 15 years. I've got 4 kids, 11, 9, almost 8, and 6. So they're super close together. I've always been physically active. I was in sports growing up, still off and on throughout my adult life, just running, exercising, always part of it. So my Beachbody story is I talked my husband into doing Insanity with me. And so we did it, burned it off, had a friend burn it illegally, used that copy. It was rough, but we liked it. And then I saw my coach, Mindy, who I had known, that she had lost a ton of weight. And so I just messaged her one day. I said, what did you do? And she said Beachbody, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh yeah, we did Insanity. And I still didn't know anything about Beachbody. And so she let me know about it. And as I started learning more about it, I kind of was like anti-Beachbody. I'm one of those people that was like, yeah, that's not for me. That's great for you, not for me. And then, you find out about Shakeology and how much it costs. And I was like, yeah, that's never going to happen. And so I kind of had a bad attitude about it. And 9 months later, I decided I was going to do Beachbody solely for the money. Like, I knew their fitness programs were. I'd never tried Shakeology before, but I jumped in, was like, I'm going to do it for all the wrong reasons. And in the process, I have learned to love it. I mean, absolutely love it. I've loved all the programs I've done. I love Shakeology. We talk about helping people understand the value of Shakeology. Well, I had no idea the value behind it when you hear the price, you don't know the value. I was like, yeah, who would pay for that? So I understand the value and I absolutely love it. And I've loved this coaching journey. I have been a coach a little over 3 years now. So that's me in a nutshell. So as Erin asked me to kind of talk about my takeaways from Elevation, and at first I was like, okay, so I started thinking about it and I had, a few ideas come to mind. And then as I started writing them out, I was like, oh, and I want to tell them about this and I want to tell them about this. So I'm trying to shove 3 days worth of amazing information into 10 points. And I figure what I miss, Erin will probably pick up because there was just so much. And it was a big group, but it was a small enough group that it was really, I thought it was kind of intimate because you could, coming off, I didn't go to Summit this year, but I know some of you may have, coming off of something so huge, you kind of can get lost in the crowd. And this, you were kind of forced out of your comfort zone and to participate and get to know other people and really learn and be interactive. And I absolutely loved it. I would recommend this event for anybody. Okay, so my first point and these are what spoke to me during the event, was that I am enough. What I'm doing is enough. I don't know if you guys are moms or wives, but I think a lot of times we get the mom guilt, like we're not spending enough time with our kids, we're not putting enough effort into our business, if you're full-time workers, you've got 75 plates in you're trying to juggle and you don't feel like you're giving everybody enough attention. And one thing that spoke really truly to me is everything I'm doing is enough. I can be doing more, but it's not worth the anxiety and stress that I am enough as I am. So that's my first point. Tell yourself that every day. You guys are enough in everything you do. My number 2 is to get out of your head and into your heart. I talk to myself and I will talk myself out of things as opposed to just leading with my heart. If I feel inspired to do something, then I need to go with it. They made the quote that a lot of times the longest journey people take is from the 18 inches from their head to their heart. And just learning to listen more to your heart as opposed to your brain. Your brain will get in the way. My number 3 goes along with this, and it said, listen to your first voice and act immediately. When you get that thought in our business to message someone, message them. There's a reason they popped into your mind. If you feel like you need to invite somebody, invite them. When you listen to your first voice and act immediately, you're following through. But a lot of times we'll let our second or third voice jump in and talk us out of it or plant doubt in our brains. And all of a sudden you won't go off of that. We a lot of times don't know what's going on in other people's lives, so there's a reason. So the first voice, listen to your first voice. An example of this is last night I was messaging a girl. She had commented on one of my posts, and I was messaging her, and she was messaging right back, but she was doing the voice message, and I was just typing and went back and forth for a little while, and all of a sudden I was like, why am I not calling her? And so I just called her, and we ended up having a 45-minute conversation. I learned so much more in that 45 minutes than messaging back and forth, which is so much more comfortable for me. But it was a fantastic phone call. So listen to your first voice. My number 4 is, we were told to model people, not mimic them. And this goes along with being yourself, being you, not trying to be other people. And I have a perfect example of this. A while ago, I saw a Janelle Summer kind of call to action coaching call post. I mean, and it was beautiful and it was perfect. And I was like, I am just going to copy this. And so I kind of have it up on one screen and I'm copying it. And as I'm typing it, I'm like, well, this doesn't sound like me. This isn't what I would say. This isn't what I would say. So I kind of reworded that first sentence, and then I start copying the second sentence, and I'm like, well, this doesn't go with the first sentence now because it's not me. So I ended up taking her post and using it as a guide, but changing it to me. So I was modeling what she had posted, but I didn't just copy and paste it, which I really wanted to, because like I said, it was beautiful, and I'm sure mine wasn't as beautiful as hers, but it was me. It was more me. My number 5 is gratitude. To be grateful for everything we have. One of the speakers that spoke, and I won't get into a ton of what he spoke with, but he was had a horrid accident and just talked about you never realize what you have until you don't have it, and being grateful for the things you have. And just this past week, I've kind of started every morning when I get up, just having some gratitude in my thoughts as I'm getting up. For 2 of the days, my alarm was really, really quiet. I don't know if one of my kids had bumped it, so the volume was down lower, but I barely heard it enough to get up in time to do my workout before my kids got up. And so I was grateful. I was grateful that for whatever reason I came to, even though my alarm, I could have slept right through it. One of the speakers said a lot of times we compare the glass to being half full or half empty, but how often are we grateful that we even have a glass with water in it? So gratitude. My number 6 is, there is no such thing as failure. If you're trying, and we talk about this, and this caught me off guard a little bit because we're taught to fail. You learn as you fail. But they said there's no such thing as failure. If you're trying something and it doesn't work out, you're learning. And that's not a failure. You're learning what works, what doesn't work, and you gain the knowledge to be able to teach in the future. So it's not considered a failure, it's considered practice. And I kind of like, practice doesn't seem to have such a negative connotation to it. So it's all practice now. My number 7 is let go of expectations. And this was a big one for me. So she taught, as a mom, you kind of want to have everything lined up, kids where they need to go, house clean, laundry folded. And she talked about laundry is never going to be done. You get it done, it's never done. But when I was trying to relate this to coaching, I thought, how many times, and maybe it's just me, I hope not, but how many times have you sent a customer they're ready to buy, they're gonna get into the group, they're super excited, and you send them the link and they don't order? For whatever reason, they think it's going to take them days to order, so they put it off. And when you release your expectations, you become free. You just leave it to what happens. Maybe they don't order this month, but maybe in another month when you are struggling to get Success Club, they all of a sudden are like, okay, I finally ordered, out of the blue. So when you release expectations, you're kind of releasing the pressure on yourself to make it happen and leaving it up to them. So I thought that one was great. My number 8 is treat everyone like family. And this goes along with the same speaker. He was saying that people will remember how you made them feel longer than they will ever remember what you tell them. So we talk, it's not the sale in here, it's how we're treating people, how you're helping them in ways, how you're adding value to their lives. He also, and I re-listened to the talk today, and he was saying that nothing you guys are learning is for you. It's never about you. It's always about how you can leave the people around you feeling. So work on treating everyone like family. And that's not always easy, but you want people to walk away feeling better from you than worse. My number 9 is stop getting ready to get ready to get ready to get ready. It can be a hard one. This goes back to getting out of your mind and overthinking things and talking yourself out of them. Oh, my post isn't perfect. Oh, my hair's standing up in this picture. I better take 50 more selfies to make it look better. Oh, I didn't have the words right in this message. Just send them. It's never going to be perfect. We're all human. The longer we wait to do something, the less likely we are to do it. So the longer you wait to message the person that you popped into your head, the less likely you are to message them later. And I've had that happen. I've had people pop into my head, and I've been busy doing something, and I'll be like, oh, I'll message them later, and I'll remember later, and then I'll be like, nah, maybe I don't need to message them. And it's, I waited and I didn't do it. My number 10 is, if you aren't having fun, you're doing it wrong. That was one of the things that I absolutely love. So I have been in this business for 3 years. I have been an Emerald coach for over 2.5 years. I have been pushing to go to Diamond, and for whatever reason, it just isn't working for me. Partly my own fault, I take responsibility for that. But I can guarantee you guys, if this weren't fun, I would have bowed out a long time ago. And if you're not having fun doing it, chances are you're not playing enough in your life. You need to step back and play for a little bit and come back and enjoy it. Come at it a different angle, because it is fun. I love meeting the people that I meet. Some of them are crazy and weird and random, and some of them are just amazing people that I would never have had the chance to meet other than doing this. And I love it, you guys. Like I said, if I've been stuck, but I still show up. I still show up every day because I think it's fun, and I think coaching is amazing. So that's kind of my takes from it. So yeah.
I love it. Thank you. That's awesome. And that's all of those points. And you actually had a couple points on there that I don't even remember seeing in my notes. So it's amazing how just the different perspectives definitely are different from what she took away and what she needed to hear and what I needed to hear. And I think we both kind of went in with different reasons why we were there. So thank you so much. Okay, so that first night when we got there, they asked us, they put up on the board and they asked us to write it down, the question, why are you here? So I want you all to think about that. Why are you here? Why are you coaching? Why are you doing this? Why? And I know we're supposed to ask ourselves all the time that, and I know we're supposed to have a why, but like really dig deep. Why are you here today, now? Why are you here? Why are you on this phone call? Are you here for you? Are you here for your customers? Are you here to learn how to be a better leader? Why are you here? Another question that they asked was, what do you want to feel more of in your life? What do you want to feel more of? I don't know, for me, I, they challenged us to do the 5 love language quiz or whatever. And I put that on my action list of things to do. I've done it before, but I never felt like I really like narrowed it down. And now I know why, because, all my numbers are so close together. Like they're only 2 points off, like from the first one to the 5th one. My first one got a number 7 and my last one got a number 5. So I'm like right there. All of them are so important for me. My first one's touch. And so like touchy feely stuff, that is my number 1 love language. So if you guys get anything from this call, I challenge you, if you haven't done it, do the 5 love language quiz. It's super easy. It's like 3 minutes and it's just kind of a survey. I told my husband I wanted him to do it just so I could see, because I think he's got one clear up at the top and then I think the other ones are pretty close together. But he actually guessed my top 1, which I was super impressed with. That's pretty impressive, right? So so I challenge you to do that, and maybe have your husband do it too, because it's easier to have a better relationship when you know what they want and what they need, and when your spouse or partner knows what you want and need. Another question that they asked is, what decisions do I need to make? So what decisions do you need to make to be a better coach or to get things done? Or is that like, do you need to decide that this is a business and not a hobby? Do you need to, like, all of those small little choices and small little decisions, they're huge. I mean, it's just one decision, but it can change your whole business, right? If you treat this as a job and a business rather than treating it as a hobby, that's huge. And if you make it a priority every single day because it's a business and you're going to put an hour or 2 hours into it, that's going to be a whole lot more than every day saying, oh, well, if I get to it, right? And then another one, they talk about this all 3 days, more than I wanted to hear, but it says, am I willing to be uncomfortable to get what I want? Are you willing to get uncomfortable to get what you want? Let me tell you, that night I walked in, I was like, oh my gosh, Catherine, we happened to pull into the parking lot at the same time. She lives in Idaho. I live in Heber City, so we're like opposite sides, right? The night before, we got each other's cell phone numbers because we had just been messaging before that. And she messaged me and said, I got here a little early. I had pulled into that same parking lot right when that message came through. And I was like, oh my gosh, so relieved, because I didn't know anybody else. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know if that was the right parking lot. Like, it was all so crazy. So just that comfort, like for me to even go was super hard, just because I am an introvert. I like to stay behind my computer. I like to be happy in my workout clothes and my pajamas with my hair up, and people can think I look all professional behind the scenes, right? So, yeah. So am I willing to get uncomfortable? They told us that night that we had to sit by somebody different and in a different spot every single time we came back. So every time we came back from lunch or break or dinner, all 3 days. And I was like, whoa! Like, if you guys have ever been to a Group X class, you know that you have a spot, and that's your spot. And every time you go to that class, that's your spot. And nobody better be in your spot when you get there, or else you're going to go stand in front of them and scoot them on over, because that's your spot. I taught the Group X for 13 years, and I can guarantee you the same people stood in the same spot year after year after year after year. Okay? So get uncomfortable. Move your spot, because it's amazing what different people you're going to meet, who you're going to connect with and relate with, and who can add to you and give you value. Okay, so get uncomfortable. We are, hopefully, if our house ever sells, we're going to move like a mile away from where we are. I'm LDS, so it's like 2 houses from like the ward boundaries. We're going to be in a different ward by 2 houses. Okay. So I can't believe how many people I don't know that live in that neighborhood a mile away from my house. They go to our same school. It's crazy. So get out of your comfort zone, move, do something just a little bit different, get out of your routine. Okay. Be clear with your vision. If you don't know what you want, how can you get it? You can't. Be clear with your vision. Write it down. Do a fun vision board. One of the speakers brought their vision board to the thing. I don't know if it was our first one or whatever, but it's super cool to see. So be clear and express where you're going. Tell on your posts, tell them where you're going. Tell your coach where you're going. Tell your downline where you're going, so that they know where the train's going. If you want them to get on board with you, but they don't know where you're going, they're not going to hop on. Let them know. And then let them decide if they want to get on the train with you, okay? Okay. So I have a story. And when we went on the cruise, I hung out with Megan and her husband, and me and my husband, right? I am very timid. I am not brave when it comes to adventurous stuff, although I was going to snorkel and Megan wasn't. So that's a huge thing. Are you listening, Megan? Okay. So,
because there's sharks.
So Megan's scared of sharks, just in case you guys didn't know that. Okay, so we were trying to decide like what excursions we were gonna do at, the Bahamas and Jamaica or whatever. So we were trying to like collaborate and get them all together so we could go on the same ones. Anyway, so they wanted to go to, I can't even remember what the resort's called. Do you remember? It's the big one. It's the big resort with the really steep slide. I can't remember what it's called, but it's the one that everybody wants to go to in the Bahamas. Does anybody know? Atlantis, yes, thank you. Okay, so we went there, okay? Super fun. All the slides were great. We did this one where you couldn't see, and because I couldn't see, I was totally cool with it, and I was like, okay. So I did it, and it scared the bejeebies out of me. I was so scared when I got to the bottom. Like, I don't do steep slides. I don't. I never have. Like 7 Peaks in Utah, don't do it. Like free fall, whatever, don't do it. Okay, I never have. It took me, I don't know how long, a long time to do the Colossus, and that's because I was on a date, and that's because we were junior prom, and I was not about to say, no, I'm not getting in that line. So I did, and I about died. Okay, so we are at Atlantis. We're going up this, or we're standing in line. It's our very last ride because we got to get back to the ship, and I'm like telling these guys how scared I am, and they could care less. They seriously are like, we're in line. Are you going to do it? Like it was fun for them. It was not fun for me. So we get up there. Megan's, I don't remember the order, but anyway, both Megan and her husband go down and they're waiting at the bottom. My husband's behind me, probably to make sure I'm actually going to do it. And I get in and I hold on to the top to like shove myself down, and I could not see the slide. It was so steep, right? It's the one where you like go under the sharks or whatever. I stopped, I turned and looked at my husband, and I started climbing out. I'm like, nope, I'm going up the stairs. And the guy was like, no, I don't let anybody out of here. You've got to go. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I am a grown woman. You're not telling me what to do. I'm out. So anyway, he's like, okay, just breathe. Like he's coaching me through it, right? And there's this huge gap. There's this huge line. Everybody's waiting for me. Everybody's watching me. I was seriously shaking and terrified, but I did it. Okay. It took me forever. It seemed like forever, but I did it. And at the end, I was so proud of myself, but that was totally out of my comfort zone. And it's so silly, but I was at the bottom. I was like, Megan, I did it. I was like, honey, are you proud of me? I did it. Like, so it's those little things. If you get out of your comfort zone, you're going to be proud of yourself and you're going to grow so much. Will I do it again? Probably not. It wasn't that fun. Like, but I can say that I did it. Okay. So anyway, get out of your comfort zone. That's my point. Okay. Let's see. So I really, really want to focus on Chad Hymas. You guys, this is the book. Can you see it? Doing What Must Be Done, Chad Hymas. Okay, so I am reading it. I read at night right before bed, and I'm usually so flipping tired. I started Monday night reading this. I am already on 74. So I've read it 3 nights and I'm on 74. Chad Hymas, can you see that? Doing what must be done. Okay, so highly recommend it. His talk, so I really want to focus on his talk. So a few of his key points, let me just give you a little bit of background if you don't know. So this guy had a dream to be a guide, so like a hunting guide for people to go hunt elk, okay? So he got 25,000 acres, got I think 200 head of elk, whatever. He was feeding them one night. The hydraulic fluid was bad on the tractor. It would have taken him 5 minutes to fix it, but he didn't because he wanted to get home. And the 2,000-pound bale of hay flipped up on top of him. He leaned over. It pinned him in between the tractor, and it broke 3 vertebrae in his neck. So he is paralyzed from the neck down. He can use his hands, but in the book it explains like it took him time and time and time and time to learn how to do that, to even breathe on his own. It took him forever to learn that, but he did. So anyway, little background story from him. So a few things that he talks about is how you make people feel. And you can take this into your family life. You can take this into your personal life. You can take this into your business. Apply it everywhere. When I was there, I mostly applied it to my family. I'll be honest. I really did. Like every time he would say that, I was like, oh, like questioning my family life. But now that I listened to half of it again, I'm going to listen to the rest again. But now I'm like picking up nuggets where he connected it all with business. So if you need to re-listen to this, go ahead and apply it to the other thing that you didn't apply it to tonight, okay? So he talks a ton about how you make people feel. It's how you make people feel. It's not what you're telling them. So when they're talking to you, when you're messaging these people, how do you make them feel? Do you make them feel important? Do you make them feel like you're just trying to sell them something? Are they better because you're talking to them? Is your team better when you're with them? Or is your team better without you? Are your kids better off when you're home? Or are they better off when you're not home? That one made me think. It really did. And I would hope that my kids would say, yeah, life at home is way better when you're here. But you know what? We're showing a house and I yell a lot because their crap is everywhere. And I'm sick of it. And I'm sick of cleaning up. And so that really made me think like, oh my gosh, do my kids really, do they feel better when I'm home? Or are they like, oh, hallelujah, she's going to the grocery store. I get an hour break, you know? So does your team, do they thrive off you? Do they feel better when you're with them, when you're talking to them? Or do you just put them down and not make them feel like they're good enough? Are you teachable? If somebody gives you a little bit of constructive criticism, are you going to take it and be like, thank you so much for that? Or are you going to be like, oh my gosh, everything she says, she's always putting me down. She's always, I'm always doing everything wrong. I'm doing a success club group for my personally sponsored coaches, and a little shout out to Lisa. I just told her how to word something just a little bit differently, just to make it a little bit softer. If you guys know me, when you talk to me in person, I am a very straightforward person. Behind the computer, I can think about what I say and I can make it a lot softer. So that's who I am when we're in person. Anyway, so I was telling Lisa, if you just switched up these few words, I think it would come across a little bit better. And she came back with, thank you so much. This is why I'm here. I want to learn. I want to be better. So I really appreciated that, because sometimes it's hard to give that criticism, right? Even though you mean well, because and it's hard to receive too. So anyway, be teachable. That's the point. And Catherine brought this up. Focus on what you still have, not on what you've lost. So Megan did a video in her personally sponsored group, and it talks about like past coaches that she's lost and what people have said, and just sometimes it's not a super positive experience, but it's still a learning experience, and how we can learn from these things. But we can't focus on those things. You can't change the past, but you can change the future. So don't focus on the past. Focus on what you have. Don't focus on those coaches that you lost, or if they were still coaching, because that doesn't matter. They're not still coaching. And if they come back, great, but they're not still coaching now. So focus on what you have. Focus on your team now. Focus on your challengers now, right? Let's see. So another thing Catherine said, everyone benefits from what you learn. It's not about you, and it's not about what you're learning. What you learn benefits those around you. So I feel like I have been, since I had that weekend, that girls' weekend away, and I was able to get out of my comfort zone. I cried a ton. I'm not a crier, but I did. And I feel like I'm a better mom, even though I missed a soccer game, even though, I had to pawn off my kids to a babysitter, even though I had to do a few of those things that give me a ton of mom guilt. I learned so much, and I feel like my family and hopefully my coaches have benefited from some of the things that I have been able to implement and take action on this week. So be teachable, but remember to focus on what you have. Remember that it's not about you, that all these people are learning what you learn. And so when you talk about your personal development on your posts, or you talk about, all the little things that you're learning and you're sharing with them, that's a ton of value that you're giving them. And it's awesome. So give people value. That's what people are buying from you. That's how they trust you. Okay. Quick little homework assignment. I posted something in my personal page. Lisa, did you happen to see that, my little video? You can just nod your head. No. Okay. So little homework assignment. Actually, I want you to do it right now. So does everybody have their phone by them if you're not using it right now? Yes? No? Okay. So remember, this isn't about you. Okay. So I want you to think of one person. It could be a challenger. It could be a coach, upline or downline. It could be husband, mom, wife, no wives, daughter. It could be anybody, okay? I want you to send them a message without using the words I, me, or my, and tell them how much they mean to you. Go. When you get a response, let me know. I'll give you a couple examples. So thinking of you, thank you so much for taking the kids. Mom, you're always super supportive. Thank you so much for all that you do.
Erin.
Yes.
Can I just say something on that? So as I listened to him again today, because that's been on my mind a lot also. And every time I type the word I'm like, okay, how can I rephrase this? But I wondered with my own kids, wanting them to know how proud we are of them, and how to say that. And as I was listening to him again today, he said in his text, instead of saying, I'm so proud of you, he said, you make us so proud. Saying the same thing, but it's focused on him. And I was like, okay, that's how, there are ways to take the I out.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I noticed that too. So instead of using I, me, or my, use the words you, yours, ours, us, and we. When you get a message back, let me know. So it should focus on something, like even if your husband's in the other room, right? You can still write him a little a little note. So Chad had us do this after we left the seminar. And so I wrote my husband and just said, we just finished the last session. Thank you so much for watching the kids. It has been so fun being here. You mean the world to me. Been thinking of you. So just kind of stuff like that. And he had a horrible day at work. Horrible. And we had talked a little bit before that, but just those words of encouragement, and not that he told me that, but I could just tell in his text and how he wrote back. And you know what was interesting is when he wrote back, so I don't know if this was like a male-female thing or what, but he did not use the word I, me, or my at all, and he was not at the seminar. He said, glad you're having fun. Hope you're learning a lot. We miss you. It wasn't, I'm glad you're having fun. It wasn't, I miss you. We miss you. So he's talking as, the whole family. I don't know. So it was really interesting. Anyway, I pointed that out to Catherine. I'm like, he did not use I, me, or my at all. So just take that focus off of you. That's the point. Take the focus off of you and push it onto them. Let them feel important, because it's not about us. It's about how they feel, not about how we feel. And if we make them feel good, we're going to be blessed in return, right? That's always how it goes. So that was huge. Does anybody have a response yet? Did everybody do it? Yay. Brittany, did you get a response? Not yet. Okay. No responses yet? Nobody's on their phone? Everybody's putting kids to bed, right? Okay. So anyway, let's see. Another thing that he really focuses on is serving others without being asked. So this is a guy who is wheelchair bound. This is a guy, he did this amazing object lesson, and, I was there for pure entertainment. So he had this guy and girl get up on the stage, and they were like part of the big group or whatever, anyway, so they get up on the stage, and he's like, okay, we've got these 2 bottles of water here. They were sitting on the stage, and had him pick them up and take the lid off and take a drink. He's like, okay, now I want you to do that same thing without using your arms or your hands. I want you to, so they had the water down on the stage, the lids were on tight, and they were supposed to take the lids off and take a drink of water without spilling anything, without using their hands and arms. Okay? So they're like getting down on the floor, like trying to use their chin, trying to use their mouth to take the lid off, right? So kind of crazy. And then after about, 2 minutes, Chad's like totally apologizing. And he's like, Tiffany, to the host of the whole conference, he's like, Tiffany, I'm so sorry. These guys did not learn the lesson that I was trying to teach them. I take full responsibility. I don't want to get paid for this. This is all my fault. I obviously didn't put my point across. Does anybody know what he was trying to prove? I know you didn't listen to the whole talk, but acts of service. So he was taking full responsibility for that. But what he was trying to prove was all of us were sitting in the chairs. We were very capable to help those people. He did not say, you can't have help from anybody else. 320 of us were sitting in the chairs watching these people trying to open the bottles of water without arms and hands. And the point he was trying to prove was service. One of us could have gotten up out of the audience, picked up the water bottle, taken the lid off, and given them a drink. Not one of us did until he said that. Then a couple people jumped up, but still at that point, that wasn't me. I was still sitting there like, what? I didn't get it. So put others first and serve without being asked. That's a big one, you guys. That's big because it's very natural to be human, right? and to put ourselves first. But if we put others first, and if we really serve others from our hearts, then we will succeed. Success will definitely be on our side. Let's see. Always remember in your business that if it were easy, everyone would be doing it. So Catherine said, if it's not fun, then, and I kind of made a video on this a couple days ago in our team page, but if it's not fun, then you're in the wrong job. You're not doing it right. But also, if there's days where you don't want to quit, then you're not in the right job either, right? So fun and challenging all at the same time. But if it were easy, if coaching was easy, everybody would be doing it, right? Everyone. It's not easy. There are days that are super hard. I tried to do my power hour today, and I was so focused on this call and what I was going to say. I couldn't focus. So it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to balance. It's hard to be a good mom and a good businesswoman, and it's hard to all of that stuff, but that's what makes it so rewarding. And the harder it is, the more rewarding it can be. So remember that. Another, just, are you willing to get uncomfortable? You need to get awkward. You need to get uncomfortable. The sooner you do it, the better off you'll be. So he made a point here. So remember, this guy is paralyzed, right? His dad came into the hospital room and he's like, son, you need to learn to put your shoes on with your teeth. And he was like, are you kidding me? Put my shoes on with my teeth? There is no way. He said it took him 2 years to even try it. And it took him 2 weeks to master it. So he was resistant to even try it for 2 years. After he tried it, it only took him 2 weeks to learn how to put his shoes on with his teeth. So don't be afraid to try. Try things. Don't be resistant to change. Okay, that's huge for me too. I'm a very routine person. So his point with the whole shoe thing is, how long are you going to wait to send a text without using the words I, me, or my? So I have actually been trying to do that, whether it's to my family members or to my some of my coaches or to some of my challengers every single day. And I challenge you guys to do that too. Try sending texts to people without using those words. Make it about them. Make them feel important. Make them feel valued. Make them feel loved. Because if they do, the rewards will return in abundance. And last, you can't take care of yourself, or you can't take care of others or your tribe unless you take care of yourself. And today, just a small example, today my sister invited me to go to a high fitness class. It was just out of a lady's home. She has a gym in her house, and she's like, you should come try it, because my sister's been debating whether or not to get certified in it. And so I was like, oh, sure, I'll come. And it wasn't until 9:30. Well, if you guys know me, I get my workout done right when I wake up. I get up, put my workout clothes on, grab me some water, and I'm downstairs getting my workout in. I think it's before I can actually think that I don't want to do it, right? Before my brain really turns on. I think I have to psych myself out. Anyway, so today I didn't do that because I was working out at 9:30. So I thought, okay, I'll get up, I'll get my power hour done before my kids get off to school. I'll get the house picked up, all before 9:30, and then I'll get my workout in. I tried to do my power hour. I couldn't think. I tried to clean my house. I was so scattered. I was all over the place because I didn't take care of me first. My workout wasn't till 9:30, and I knew, I had a plan. I knew it was happening. I knew I made time for that. But because I didn't take care of me first, I was trying to take care of all my challengers. I was trying to send out invites. I was trying to reach out to people. And I know other people's routines are different. Like Megan does her power hour first thing in the morning. And you know what? That works for her. And maybe that's just how she functions. But I know me, if I don't get my workout, I just can't focus. I'm all over. So I have to take care of me first, and then I can take care of everybody else. Because I am a better person when I take care of me first. just like the whole oxygen mask on the plane, right? You got to put the oxygen mask on you first before you can help anybody else. Otherwise, you're not going to be any help, right? So anyway, those were my top points. And I know I mostly focused on just that one speaker, but he was definitely my highlight of the weekend. There was a lot more points, and maybe I'll do another call on a few of the other speakers as well. Maybe Catherine would be up for helping me out on that one too. But anyway, do you guys have any questions or anything that you would like to add? I would love any comments, questions.
Can I just add really quick? I have been making myself really get out of my comfort zone in talking to people. I don't love talking to random people at all. And where we live right now, our apartment complex we're in the middle of Mason, Ohio. It's like right outside of Cincinnati. It's just a regular place. But the apartment complex we're in, we're like the minority. So we're standing at the bus stop, and I don't hear English, right? So I'm like, when they do talk to me, their accents are so thick that I'm like, I don't even know, like it's just uncomfortable. So it's so much easier for me to just hang back and talk to my kids and whatever. But I realized that was making my daughter, for one thing, like hug to me, and she's already kind of the more shy type. And so I'm like, okay, I can't be like my introverted self here. I need to go and talk to people. So it wasn't in the morning time, but later, one of the moms came out, and she just moved here from Mexico. They've been here for, I guess, since July. She didn't hardly know any English before she got here. So she's been studying it, and she kind of just said that she spoke well enough to be able to tell me these things, but it was, very broken. And you could tell she's like, I'm really trying to learn. It's super uncomfortable. And it just made me realize, like, here I am feeling uncomfortable that I can't understand her, but she's like hungry to learn English, and she needs to talk to people. And it really isn't that hard for me just to be a nice person, right? And talk to her. And it will, like, I don't know, it just really opened my eyes that, like, stop making it about myself so much and make it about them. Let them, like, ask them questions. Let them do the talking. You don't have to do the talking. Just ask the questions. And you can end up being a huge blessing in somebody else's day. And, it's even easier to do it when you're on a computer and you're not face to face. But yeah, it just really helped me to realize that I'm not the only one who's super uncomfortable and needing to feel like I belong. Like, she came from Mexico and is learning a whole new life. And so I can step outside of my comfort zone for 2 seconds and be a nice person to her.
I love that. I love that. It's hard. It's hard. I picked up my daughter from gymnastics, and I've seen this lady at where my son goes to school. I've seen her at gymnastics a few times, and you know what? She is an introvert. She's just like me. And you know what? If I wasn't a Beachbody coach and knew I had to get out of my comfort zone, I probably would never say more than smile at her and, pass. But I stopped her and talked to her, and I'm like, hey, I think you have kids at Soldier Hollow, and I've seen you there. And she's like, oh, really? And so we, got a little conversation going, and then I did see her at Soldier Hollow, and I'm like, hey, looks like I'm going to be following you around everywhere, just friendly things. But she's new. She moved here last May. They're from Atlanta, I think. And, she's just like, we don't know anybody. And you know what? It was just me saying hi. I mean, she's not overly friendly by any means, but I think it's because she's an introvert, and she's like, oh my gosh, like, somebody's talking to me. This is uncomfortable. But I can be the friendly person, and then if she decides not to be friendly, that's on her, right? So yeah, it's hard to be friendly when you're not used to it or don't want to be, right? It's hard. Anybody else have anything they want to say? Okay, I'm going to stop recording, and then if there's anything